Hello guys, welcome back to the Crochet Nerd, and today I'm doing part 2 of crocheting the Master Sword for my son's Halloween costume. And today what we're going to be working on is the hilt of the sword. And if I can get this on screen, this is the finished product. And the hilt, of course, is this part. The last video, we did the pommel. And in the next one, we will be doing the blade. But today, what we're working on is the hilt right here. Now, when I stuffed this particular sword, I used a half-inch dowel from Walmart, a wooden dowel, and then just had my husband cut it down to size for me, the size I needed. Wrapped that in some quilt batting and used it to stuff the sword because I wanted it to be relatively stiff. Now, when I put together the one I'm working on now, just for tutorial purposes, I will be stuffing it with polyfill, and it's not going to be as stiff as this is, probably. Depends on how much stuffing you use in it, of course. But, to begin, what we're going to be using is a 6.0 millimeter crochet hook. And we're going to use a 4.5 just for some little embellishments around, not very many. You're going to need some charcoal or gray colored yarn. And I am using Royal from Red Heart Super Saver. The Master Sword is actually more of a purpley color, but this particular color is what I had that was close. It's actually more of a bluish purple. But we're going to start off with the gray and our 6.5 millimeter hook. We're going to make our slip knot. And you can either, this is done in the round without slip stitching. So we're going to need a marker, and I am going to use just a little piece of odd colored yarn. We're doing it in a spiral. You can do a magic ring, however you're most comfortable with. But we are doing this in single crochet. So our first step is make our slip stitch, and we're going to chain up just 2, 1 and 2. And then we're going to go into our first chain here, pull up, and we're going to make 6 single crochet. And this is our first stitch right here. So, I'm going to just thread this little bit of orange yarn right in through this stitch here. Just so we know that's our first stitch. And then we're going to do 6 of these. So there's 2 and 3. And I apologize if my voice is... I've got some kind of cold or something. And here's 4, 5. Oh, the yarn's squeaky. And 6. And now we'll just tighten that up. And we are going to go directly into the next stitch. And on this round, we're going to be putting 2 stitches in each double crochet around. So we're just going to loop that stitch marker around back, pull up, and that's kind of a large stitch, but it will get the job done. And we want 2 in each stitch around, and so at the end of this round we're going to have 12 stitches. It's our 12th stitch right there. And what we're going to need to do here is finish off our last gray stitch. So we're going to be finished with the gray yarn. I'm going to just snip that off, and we've got some blue here that we will use just to finish our last single crochet in that row. Just like so. And that gives us an even transition through. And if you want, you can just take your gray tail and your blue tail here and kind of tie a little knot. All of this will go inside the rounds once we get going. We'll just stuff it down in there. And now this round we're going to be putting one single crochet in each stitch around, and we're only going into the back loop. So right here you have 2 loops again. Front loop is right there. Back loop is right here, furthest away from you. So we're going to go into that back loop, and let me just pull this up and over just to mark our spot. And pull up a loop, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the back loop only all the way around, and you'll have 12 stitches at the end of this round. Okay, we're back around. We've done our 12 stitches back loop only. And now what we are going to do is we are going to do 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So, and this time we're going through both of our loops. So we'll start right here on our blue stitch, slide in, pull up, and we're going to do 3 rounds all the way around. Make sure you're marking that first stitch. So just go all the way around, and when we have done 3 rounds of 12 single crochet, we will meet back up. Alright guys, we're back around. I've done my 3 rounds of single crochet, 12 stitches each, and now in this next round what we're going to do is we're going to start decreasing. And I have my first stitch again marked with just a piece of yarn. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into this first stitch, and we're going to make 1 single crochet here. And then on our next stitch, we're going to single crochet 2 together to do a decrease. And we're going to continue this all the way around. So a really good way to do a single crochet decrease, there's an invisible join where you can just go under this front loop, swap around, don't draw up a loop, just go into the next one and pull up a loop for your single crochet and make it. And now you've just done 2 together, but when you get on a round, it's not really going to show up that way, and it doesn't leave a big bulky stitch there. So there's our first decrease. Now we're going to do a single crochet in this next stitch, and that makes 3 stitches, and then again a decrease, the invisible decrease, and that makes us 1, 2, 3 or 4. Let's see. I have to pull my yarn, my marker up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes our 4th stitch. So we're going to go back in, and we just did a decrease, so we want 1 single crochet. This is just every other stitch we're decreasing. So now we need a decrease. We're going to go in to 2 loops for 2 stitches and single crochet those 2 together. And then on this next stitch right here, we're just going to go in and we're going to do 1 single crochet. And that's going to bring us back around. We've got 2 stitches left here, right here, and we're going to decrease there. So we're going to single crochet those 2 together. Once again, just simply like that. And then we're going to go immediately in. We've got 8 stitches now if you count around, because we've decreased 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 here at our first stitch. I realize this yarn might be difficult to see. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just single crochet around, as we did before, 8 stitches this time though, instead of doing 12. So just one single crochet in each stitch around. That's what we're going to do. And we are going to do that for 20 rounds. So you might want to get a little piece of paper and make a mark each time you do a round. You can actually count the rounds after you've crocheted them. And that, if you can figure out where your rounds are, you just count these little bumps right here, because see, like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds in total. But you will need to mark like where your first round is, or what have you, your first decrease. But we need 20 rounds of this, one single crochet around for 8 stitches. So we're doing 20 rounds of it, and I'm going to pull my stitch marker up right here, slip in. Always catch that little bit of yarn under your stitch, so when you pull it up in the back here, you can see, okay, that's my first stitch. This is where I started. Because when you're not slip stitching and chaining up, it's very difficult to keep up with, and it's easy to lose your stitch count. So we are going to meet back up when we have done 20 rounds of single crochet. Alright guys, we're back around. I've got my 20 rounds of crochet done, or my 20 rounds of single crochet. And I'm sorry, I've just bumped the camera a little bit. I hope I didn't mess anything major up. And if you are a smart person, you would have started stuffing this. And I did not say this. You know, right when we got to our decrease or a few rounds up, I didn't do that. So now I have to figure out how to stuff it without that. So I've took my stitch marker out. I don't want to stuff it down in there. And I've got my polyfill here. And the good thing about yarn is it stretches. You can kind of get around that. And just stuff you some polyfill in. And again, I say, hopefully you have watched the video and not gotten to this point before you realize, oh, I've not stuffed this thing. Now, if you are going to do some sort of stiffening, something, instead of the polyfill, if you want it to be like in the previous one I did a wooden dowel, which is a 1/2 inch across or around, about this big around. Wrapped it in batting, quilt batting, which is not the same thing as this polyfill. It's more of a fabric type thing. And then I just stuffed a little bit down in the end to make the knob on the end of the sword, and used the batting covered dowel to make the sword, and then sewed all of it together on top of it. Now, if you're doing that, you don't want to stuff this. However, this one I'm stuffing to make it like a stuffed animal. So I should have already done this. So we will, yet again, meet back up when I have stuffed this crate. Now, for our next round, we've done our 20 round single crochet. Each round is 8 stitches. So, what we're going to do in this next round is increase again. So, what we want to do is increase every other stitch, just like we did in the decrease before. But this time we're increasing. So, we're going to go into our first stitch and just make one single crochet here. Make sure that one's marked. And then in our next stitch, we're going to make 2 single crochet in that same stitch. And that's going to give us 12 stitches when we get all the way back around. So we will meet back up after the end of our increase round. Okay, now we've done an increase in every other stitch. So what we've done is 1 single crochet in this stitch, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. All the way around, we now have 12 stitches in our round. Now, we are going to, in the next one, just single crochet 1 stitch in each stitch around. That's going to give us 12. So, we'll go right here, mark that first stitch, and meet back up at the end of this round where we have 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 12 stitches. Okay guys, we're back around. We've done 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and now we're going to do another increase. And so what we're going to do in this one to get to 16 stitches is we're going to do 3 single crochet. So 1, 2, and this yarn is squeaking. I don't know if you guys can hear it on the video, but I can hear it. It's one of my peeves. I cannot stand a squeaky yarn. I'm sweaty. It's hot in here. I apologize. For anybody that has the same phobia as I do, I apologize for the squeaky yarn. So what we've done is we've done 1, 2, 3 single crochet. And in this next stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochet in the same stitch. So we're doing an increase here. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then we're going to put 1 single crochet here and another one in that same stitch for our increase, and then we're going to do 3 single crochet again. So 1, 2, 3. And then here in our last stitch before the end, we're going to do 2 single crochet in the same stitch for an increase. Now, the next round is another one of those where we just single crochet around. So, let me pull my marker up here. And we're going to go 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we'll meet you back up at the end of this. Okay guys, we're back around here. We've done 1 single crochet in each stitch around. We should have I think 15 stitches in this round. And we're going to do 1 more round of single crochet, 1 in each stitch around. This time we're going to go into, again, just the back loop only. So, and I forgot to pull my marker. No, I didn't. It's in there. Okay, in the back loop only, just single crochet, 1 in each stitch around, and we'll meet back up at the end of this round. Okay guys, we've done our back loop around here, and now this next round can be a bit confusing because we're doing decreases again. We're going down from our 15 stitches to 10. So what we're going to do here is in our first stitch, we're going to do a decrease. Now we're doing both loops this time. So right here's our first stitch. We're going to do a decrease. So I'm just going under that front loop of those first 2 stitches and pulling up. And then making my single crochet there. And then tuck that around down there. Actually, I'm going to put one of these markers in here. Just so I know I'm not confusing it, and you can just tuck that. Just make sure that stitch is marked. And in the next one, we're going to do a single crochet. So just a 1 single crochet. And then in the next stitch, we are going to do a decrease. And if there is any background noise in this video, I do apologize. This is the first time I have ever tried recording when my children are not at school. And then our next stitch is going to be a single crochet. The next is going to be another decrease. So 2 together here. Our next stitch is going to be a single crochet. And then we're going to have another decrease right here. And then we're going to have, let's see, 2 single crochet decreases right in a row. So we don't have another single crochet. We're just going to do this. A decrease. And another decrease. Now the written pattern for this is on my blog, which will be linked in the description box, as well as a link to Facebook. And this part is nowhere near as confusing, I don't think, as the pommel was. Now, last thing we're going to do here is we are going to slip stitch and chain 1, and we're going to finish this off. And I've left quite a long tail here. I'm going to finish stuffing this sucker. Well stuffed. I'm going to thread up my yarn needle. Now, if you're doing, again, a dowel or something, you're not just stuffing with polyfill or yarn scraps, you may not want to do this just yet. As a matter of fact, you don't want to do this. But I'm just going to weave in and around under the stitches. Here some. And flatten this piece on the end here a little, because we want it to be just a little flatter together. Doesn't have to be completely flat. We're just going to close this end up. And then I'll leave the tail on in case we need it. I always leave a tail just in case we need it for sewing later. Now, for our next bit, and you don't have to do this, it's just an embellishment. We have these loops here from our back loop only, and we're going to just do a reverse single crochet around that. So, make you a slip knot. I'm using a 4.5 hook for this. And I need the slip knot on the hook first. I did tell you guys that I had some sort of cold. It's apparently affecting my brain. And I'm just going to do a slip stitch around here or try to. Loose is good with this particular stitch. A slip knot in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back into that and just kind of scoop that up like that. And it's going to seem really loose here. And we are going to be going around the project in this reverse single crochet. So we're going to go backwards instead of working around the way we normally would. So we're going to go into this next one. And it's difficult. Usually when I'm doing something like this, I'm doing it in my lap or something. It's a little more difficult on a tabletop. Pull that up, get that twist in, and then go through and through. And it just makes a pretty little ridge up on here. And we'll meet back up when we get done with this. Okay, guys, I've got that last reverse crab stitch in there. Just going to chain one and snip this here. Tug that through. You can kind of knot that if you like, right here. Just a little. And then we'll just tuck this down in our project. And our pommel will cover all this, all these tails and things at the bottom when we're done. Now we're going to do the same thing, and our back loop only loops up here around the top. And these might actually require just a bit of sewing. So, I'll meet back up with you guys. I'm going to get this started around the top. Again, we're just doing that same reverse single crochet crab stitch at the top. And we'll meet back up when I have that done. I'll show you how to finish this thing off. Alright guys, I've finished off that crab stitch around the top here. And I've chained me one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to knot this together again with our tails. And this, I have left one that's slightly longer. Because this on top doesn't look anything like the one on the bottom does. I think it's just the way the stitch works. So what we're going to do is thread up our yarn needle here. And this other tail I'll weave in when we're done. But we're just going to go in and kind of attach this to the top part of our hilt here. So that we're just tying it down so it lays just a bit flatter on our stitches. And it won't, you just go in as neatly as you can here, and it won't really affect how this works. I'm using a tapestry needle with a point to it because my blunted one that I had, apparently these things make really good swords. for inanimate objects, like the little Fisher-Price guys and stuffed puppies and gorillas that used to be McDonald's toys, because I keep finding them when they go missing in my son's toy stash. I do keep a better lid on these pointy ones than I do, and he knows better than to touch those, than I do my blunted end ones, or the little plastic ones you get in those kits or can get at the craft store. So at the very least, I know he's not literally going to stab somebody with one, but I do like, especially for this great big thick yarn, the blunt tipped needles better. And here I am stuck with this. Alright, we've got that done, and we're just going to cram that tail down in there. Find a little hole here to go through and tug it through. Pretty nice. Tight. Snip it off. If you squish that a little, your tail's disappeared. Going to do the same thing for this one. And we will have ourselves a master sword hilt. This will attach onto our blade, and then this bottom end here will be covered partially by the pommel. Again, with my original, with the wooden dowel, you can see matches up almost completely perfectly here. We wanted to flatten that top out because this is supposed to be the top of the hilt. And then next video, we'll make the blade to this. We already have the pommel done, and then we'll sew it all together, and we can be Link from The Legend of Zelda with his Master Sword. Thank you guys. If you haven't subscribed, there's a little button down in the corner that you can just click subscribe. It doesn't take but just a second. Leave a like if you found this video helpful, and we will see you guys in the next one.